Well, folks, welcome back to the Rife Report. Today we are going to be talking about the 2025 New Jersey gubernatorial election. Now, we've talked just a little bit about it, and now there was a recent poll showing independents swinging against the Democrats by roughly 8 percentage points. But today we're going to be looking at the overall election, showing the polls say it is a dead heat between Democrat Mikey Sherill and Republican Jack Ciattarelli. Now, this race could flip New Jersey red for the first time in over a decade. The last time Republicans won a statewide race was 2013 in the gubernatorial election when Chris Christie won. And we're going to be here to break it down for you. So the 2025 race, the election will be held November 4th. And it is to replace term-limited Governor Phil Murphy, who is a Democrat. He's been in office since 2018. And we know New Jersey is a blue-leaning state at the federal level and at the state level. But state-level races tend to be much more competitive. Although, like we said, Republicans haven't won a governor's race since 2013. But look at the 2021 gubernatorial election. This is a big election for Republicans in the state of New Jersey. Republicans came within 3 percentage points. 3 percentage points, a razor-thin victory for the Democrats. But they came within 3 percentage points of winning in the state. That not only 3 years earlier, Phil Murphy, the Democrat, won by 14 points. This is a 10-point swing, against the Democrats. And now this year, the primary elections were just held, and we know that Mikey Sherill, the Democrat, Jack Ciattarelli, who was also the nominee in 2021, these will be the nominees for the Republican and the Democrats. Mikey Sherill, she's a Democrat congresswoman from New Jersey's 11th congressional district. She won the primary with about 35% of the vote. About 1 in 3 Democrat voters voted for her. On the flip side, Jack Ciattarelli, a former state assemblyman and the 2021 Republican nominee, secured his party's nomination with almost 70% of support within the Republican primary. Now, the New Jersey's governor's race is one of only 2 governor's races in 2025. They are the big elections in the off-cycle year, alongside Virginia, which makes it a national bellwether, just to kind of test where is voter sentiment ahead of the 26 midterms. Now, is it indicative of what will happen? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But, a big but there, I think it definitely tests the waters of where people are at right now. Because in New Jersey, it's not just about who's running the state government. It really is about whether New Jerseyans are ready for change after 8 years of Democrat policies under Phil Murphy. Policies that left many feeling squeezed by sky-high taxes, high property taxes, insane rising cost. And we're going to take a look at why those issues make this race so close in 2025. Now, there was a recent poll. Now, I'll give it national research that this is an internal poll for the Republicans. I'll just preface it by saying that, showing that Mikey Sherill is leading the Republican 45 points to 42 points in this election. But, like we talked about yesterday, the big thing that we saw here, independents and unaffiliated voters are breaking for the Republicans by 8 percentage points here. It's tied up with working class voters. Democrats have a 10-point advantage among upper middle class. In upper class, they have an even bigger advantage. But if you're talking about people who believe that the state is on the wrong track, which is the majority of people who were polled here, a majority, and remember, this poll has basically a majority of Democrats. Basically. 32% Republicans, 42% Democrats, 26% unaffiliated. And also, this is a more female electorate than it is a male electorate here. Pretty even breakdown right here, and as far as the age and race goes. But you can see, for people who believe the state is on the wrong track, they are voting for the Republicans in huge droves. If they think they're on the wrong track, 72% are voting for the Republicans. If they want to shake things up in Trenton, 87% are voting for the Republicans here. 87%. And obviously, this is a big change from the polling that we saw before. From Survey USA, showed Mikey Sherill up on Jack Ciattarelli. Now, this was before the primary. This was a little less than about 3 weeks ago. Showed that she was up on Jack Ciattarelli by 13 points here. 13 points. But like we said, in this most recent poll, yes, it is a Republican poll, but Ciattarelli leads 8 points with independents and unaffiliated voters. Now, to put this in some sort of historical context, Ciattarelli's 2021 performance was a wake-up call for Democrats. He nearly unseated a Democrat in a what was a good year for Republicans, but he nearly unseated him, closing a 12-point gap from the year earlier to just 3% on election day. And New Jersey's electorate is frustrated. Polls show that upwards of 60 to 70% of voters feel that their income has fallen behind the actual cost of living, which is a pain point in the Republicans in their nominating process, but also in the campaign that they're running right now. Now, President Trump has endorsed Republican Jack Ciattarelli. He boosted his primary for kind of double down on it in May. He won. And look, Trump energizes the base with 90% of Republicans wanting a governor who works with Donald Trump. They want someone who's going to work with Donald Trump, not someone who's just going to, nope, we don't want anything to do with you. We want someone who's going to work with Donald Trump. That's the reality here. However, Trump does have a polarizing presence that could alienate some independents who are leaning towards wanting a governor who will cooperate with the administration rather than just fully oppose it. But either way, they want someone who's going to cooperate with D.C. But the thing with Donald Trump is, yes, can he energize the base? But Jack Ciattarelli has to walk a fine line here, bringing the MAGA base together and bringing independents, moderates, establishment Republicans together to build a coalition. That's what he needs to do. It's not going to be easy. So I think you need to use Donald Trump's endorsement where it can be best used. You're not going to win over moderates, independents in huge droves that you need. You need to be winning by independents by 10, 11, 12 points here. Is Donald Trump going to get you there? No, I don't think so. Especially with everything that's going on right now in D.C. There's a lot of shakeup going on, which, based on this, it says they want this to be a change election. The electorate wants this to be a change election. So maybe they like that. Maybe they do like that. But we've seen in many other states that Donald Trump his approval rating is dropping. It is dropping. Ultimately, I think he's doing the right things. He's doing what needs to be done. But we know midterms, they are a backlash to the party in power. No matter how good of a president you are, there is always backlash to the party in power. It's just as simple as that. But right now, polls tell us this race is anybody's game. And the Republicans have been tapping into real economic frustrations of people in New Jersey. Skyrocketing property taxes, a corporate tax rate that's now, 12 or 13%, which is the highest in the nation, in a sense that the people in Trenton are completely out of touch. And Mikey Sherill is banking on her record as a moderate Democrat. But look, she also has to defend the status quo in a state where people are fed up. They want this to be a change election. If we make this a change election, Democrats lose. If this is an election about the status quo, Democrats win. It's as simple as that. It really is. Yes, Mikey Sherill is a more moderate Democrat, but she has weaknesses. Trust me, she has plenty of weaknesses. There are plenty of top issues for voters in the state that Republicans can lean into. The economy and taxes. Like we said, under Phil Murphy, corporate tax rates jumped to, I think it was like 12%. To fund the New Jersey Transit, which sparked backlash from the business community. And Ciattarelli is already vowing to roll back a lot of these anti-business policies that were put in place over the last 8 years. New Jersey is an expensive place to live. Well, on the flip side, Mikey Sherrill's promising to address affordability. But I think she faces a lot of skepticism from her own party's track record. And polls show that upwards of 60% of voters prioritize the economy and housing cost over everything, which that will favor the Republicans. You look at immigration, Trump's deportation policies, they are a hot topic issue. And upwards of 50% of New Jersey voters say they feel safe because of them. But Mikey Sherrill's campaign aligns with Democrats' resistance to what they would describe as federal overreach, especially in sanctuary cities like Newark and New Jersey, or in Jersey City. They want a candidate who's going to support strong borders, border security, cooperate with federal policies, and appeal to the concerns of voters when it comes to illegal immigration and the crime that's associated with that. But I think both candidates, there's low name recognition for both candidates early on. I think Ciattarelli probably has a more name recognition as of right now. But look, even in this poll, 12% of people are still undecided. There's still a lot of people. There's a lot of people that Republicans and Democrats can still go after here. And there's a lot at stake. There's a lot at stake here. This is going to be a litmus test for the 2026 midterms. And a strong performance could embolden Republicans nationwide. And a Democrat win may reassure Democrats that their brand still holds in places. But look, it's New Jersey. Phil Murphy won here in 2018 by 14 points. So if they're performing better than that, it's going to be, I think Republicans, there's a lot, even if Republicans lose, there's a lot that they can take away from this and feel good about. But that is going to wrap things up for today, folks. As always, drop down below. Let me know your thoughts. Hit that subscribe button, and we'll catch you next time.